Okay, I'm with first team coach Richard Agar. Richard, it's the first time you've been in the hot seat with me here at Warrington Worldwide. You arrived last season, had your first season, got that under your belt. You're here for your second season. How does this squad compare to last season's?
Well, obviously Tony and the club decided to make some changes to the squad last year, and based on probably a couple of years whereby Warrington standards had not achieved quite what they wanted to achieve, so they decided that a little bit of surgery were needed and some comings and goings. So we've had a strong influx of players this year, some quality players, but not only that, I think some quality people as well. And I think so far, the fruits of the decision is starting to pay, and we've got some guys in particularly good form, and I think we've set the season off on a really good footing.
You can't wish for better than three, really, can you?
No, sure, and I think we're going to get some challenges, and I think this week going to Salford again is going to be yet another challenge and a difficult challenge as well. But I think so far 3 from 3. While we were a little bit dusty in areas against Wakefield on Friday night, we couldn't ask for too much more. I still think as far as what we've seen with the ball in hand and what we can produce offensively, I think there's some improvements to go there. But I think quite early in the season, and given the conditions and our ability to train outside is probably a bit of a factor as well, and people getting used to each other and finding our best style of football. I still feel that perhaps our best is yet to come, certainly with ball in hand. But defensively, I think we started very, very strong. Probably not as much on Friday night, but I think that were a timely reminder to us that perhaps we were down or knocked off in a couple of areas where we feel we've been really, really good over the first couple of weeks in trial games. So I say timely reminder, we got away with it, we got a comfortable win on Friday night, but a little reminder to us that we're probably going to get challenged a little bit stronger in a couple of areas this coming Thursday at Salford.
And how have you felt working at Warrington over the last year?
It's been a terrific club. There's no doubt last year were a difficult year for the club. But that's sport a little bit in a way. It's full of ups and downs, and they're the challenges, and they're certainly the challenges what brings in coaching. But we've got a terrific head coach, and I feel we've got an outstanding staff. And as a club, it's by far and away the best club that I've worked at. The board are unbelievably supportive, and I think this year we've got a terrific playing group as well. As I say, not just full of good players, but good people, which obviously I think makes a huge difference as well. So we're very optimistic, and we know it's going to be a year of hard work, and it's not going to be without some bumps in the road at some times. But again, that's part of the deal. You just got to stay focused, keep working hard, and I think at this moment in time, it's fair to say everybody within the club is very much on the same page.
Being one of the new faces last season, did you feel under pressure yourself when things weren't going well?
Not really. Not really. I think as a coach you get used to being put in those situations. While you realise that there's some changes to the club and perhaps it's not going right because of this, internally, as I say, I'm working with a vastly experienced head coach that behind the scenes, was identifying that perhaps, as I said, some surgery were needed in the squad, and perhaps should have maybe been done a little bit earlier. And we got put in some very testing situations. We had a difficult schedule, we had some difficulty with injuries, and certainly some difficulty in certain positions. So we feel that we've certainly rectified that. Some of the plus points to come out of a tough year were some of those younger guys got some valuable experience and some Super League games under the belt, and feel much better prepared to step up to the plate this year when they're required.
We saw Chris Sander arrive at the back end of last season. Now he's got pre-season under his belt and everything. Do you think we'll really start to see the best of him?
Well, I think we're starting to see that now. I think Tony's been widely quoted and put it out there publicly what a difficult situation it was for Chrissy last year. He had a difficult ride himself. He were in a position where perhaps it wasn't working out with his club as much as he wanted. He had some well-documented issues or disagreements, if you like, with the coach, which went into the public domain. Came over here to a team who were very much struggling to find consistency and struggling with form and had different half-back partnerships, and by his own admission, his early impressions probably weren't anywhere near the standards that he sets himself. But give him a pre-season. I'd say the influence of Kurt Gidley in there is I think a major factor in what's helped us stabilise us. A terrific guy on the field and off the field as well. And I think Chris E has come back, fitter, faster, stronger, and more confident of his role in the team. And I think the byproduct of that is seeing some of the performances that he's had. We love Chris E internally. We've got a lot of time for him as a guy, and I think being in that situation has helped him now find the right balance and bring out some of the wonderful attributes to his game that he's got. Kirk probably the steadying influence in the team, but if we can keep setting a platform, then hopefully those bits of magic that we see from Chrissy will continue.
I mean, you mentioned Kurt Gidley a couple of times there in passing. I mean, he is a true professional, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Say on the field and off the field, I think that's very, very important. But I think for us as a team as well, we've had the emergence of some other leaders, and while there may have been leaders in the squad before, now we lost the experience that we lost last year, and some guys that have been at the club quite a while. You guys like Chris Earl, I know Stefan Ratchford's coming back into the team this week. Joe Westerman's new to the club. Daryl Clark's been at the club a year. Ben Westwood, who's been obviously at the club a long, long time. All of a sudden there's a different dynamic evolving in terms of the club and the leadership that surrounds the team. And I think we've had some guys that have really stood up in that regard. Ben Curry and Brad Dwyer are another two that spring to mind that all of a sudden have got a far stronger place. Pecking order is probably the wrong word, but their influence on the team is growing stronger and stronger. It's still early days for us. We know we're going to get some strong challenges this year, and we're going to come across some situations where perhaps we pick up some injuries, and like this week we talked about Kurt Gidley, he's not going to be there, and we're going to have to rely on different experiences this week. But I think we have got a team that Tony's brother last week said there's a lot of potential in this team, and we certainly feel it can evolve in the right way. What
is this injury situation with Kurt?
Well, I think as everybody knows now, there's a mandatory 7-day turnaround on a concussion injury. Kurt wasn't knocked out, but he certainly showed enough signs and symptoms that he suffered from concussion last week. He's a bit, how can I say, frustrated by it. Not disappointed, but frustrated, because in himself he feels alright. He turned around alright in a day or two. But for the longer term benefits and for the game, really, the bigger picture is guys that get knocked out, obviously with the research and the tight controls that we have from the physicians nowadays. He has to sit out 7 days, and being on a shorter turnaround this week, I think if the game was obviously Friday, he could have played, but it's just come a dead game too soon for him.
And what are the other injury situations in the camp?
Daryl Clark has got a slight calf tear, only a small one. We're hoping that it's going to be a week. It could string out to 2 weeks, but he's going to be certainly miss the Salford game, but hopefully we'll get him in situ for the game after that. The positive is that reserve grade played last week. We're certainly extolling the virtues of having a reserve grade team again, being able to play all our younger guys and our guys that haven't played first grade yet. We had quite a number of them playing last week. Gary Wheeler, Gene Ormsby, Declan Patton, Joe Philbin, Sam Wilde, just to name a few. But the big bonus for us was we got Ben Evans, Mitchell Dodds and Stefan Ratchford back from long-term injuries. And I think the great thing about reserve grade is we get to play those guys when we want. I'm not having to rely on Joe Reg, and Joe Reg last weekend were a cup weekend, so there's no way we could have played any of them in the cup round. So for those guys, to get 40 minutes, 60 minutes under the belts in our colours, in our systems, playing to our style, we can dictate the amount of game time that they play, and it was a good game. Our 2 games have been, although we've won, so we're always a little bit happy when we win. The standard of the games has been good. We played a Hull side with the likes of Yeaman, Paliacina, Dean Hadley, Lancaster, Norton, and some of their better young juniors. It were a good contest and a good standard of football. So for us, to get 2 or 3 of those guys back, we've got some injuries this week. We know they're far more ready for first grade, and we can, more confidently select them while they can come in knowing, they too have the confidence of getting, 40, 50, 60 minutes under the belt as well.
Some of the names you mentioned there, it's pretty strong reserve grade rugby, that, isn't it?
Terrific. It was terrific. And, while they don't play this week, if they get a couple of games a month, it certainly helps us out to be able to utilise, I don't like using that word, utilise, to utilise that, level of football in good contest to get, as I say, to get these boys back on the field in our colours and in our system. I hope that, in 12 months' time, we've got nearly all the Super League clubs fielding a reserve grade team, because I do think it's a massive benefit for your team, but of a massive benefit to the game as well. I think at 19, it's too early for some guys to make decisions on them, whether they be full-time or even go into championship clubs. I think, if we have 5 or 6 of those guys that stay in our system a bit longer, even if they don't make it as a Warrington Wolves first grader, I think it's a terrific way to repopulate the game, whether that be at a different level of Super League, whether that be in the Championship that filters down into Championship 1 and even into the Conference League. I think we're a game that, I wouldn't say we're short of players, but I think the more we can populate, the more we can give people opportunities to play. Hopefully it'll be an increase in numbers, and the bigger increase in numbers we get, hopefully the quality and guys that get a longer opportunity to become Super League players, we'll see the game grow in numbers.
Okay, Richard, thanks for your time in the hot seat.
Thank you very much.